local law enforcement, state law enforcement, federal law enforcement. And I again thank each and every one of these agencies, and they work together exceedingly well. Each of our 3 enforcement surges have spanned 2 days. Each event has been targeted and data-driven, focused on sending an influx of resources into Cleveland's known high-crime hotspots. Let's look at the screen. August 15th and August 16th, focused on Cleveland's 4th precinct, resulted in 52 felony arrests, 16 guns that were seized. Going now to August 24th and 25th, Cleveland's 3rd and 5th precincts. Surge resulted in 42 felony arrests and 28 guns that were seized. And finally, September 6th and September 7th. This was Cleveland's 2nd and 4th precincts. That resulted in 44 felony arrests, 19 guns that were seized. So in total, as you can see, over just 6 days, our team made 138 felony arrests. They also recovered dozens of stolen cars and seized various types of illegal drugs as well. Going to the next graphic, our teams also confiscated 63 guns possessed by individuals who were illegally carrying these weapons and or were found committing a crime at that time with them. Again, many of these arrests were of individuals who had criminal histories, many times long criminal histories, people who had previously been convicted of crimes such as felonious assault, aggravated robbery, discharging a firearm in a prohibited area, weapons under disability, gross sexual imposition, abduction, and drug trafficking. And let me just say, weapons under disability is sometimes kind of a strange term. It's a legal term. It simply means someone who's committed in the state of Ohio a violent offense before and been convicted of that violent offense. They're no longer allowed to have a gun. And what this means is they were found in possession of a gun in spite of that fact. Because of these priors, these individuals were prohibited by law from carrying a firearm. But these are individuals who blatantly ignore the law, carry the weapons, and they are among all the criminals the ones that are most likely to actually use those guns. Thanks to sophisticated ballistic technology, we know that several of the guns, a number of these guns that were seized are as part of these surges have a criminal history too. I want to talk a little bit about that. Law enforcement here in Cleveland has talked a lot lately about NIBIN, N-I-B-I-N. That stands for the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. This technology allows authorities to compare ballistic evidence from seized firearms and compare that with shell casings that have been found at crime scenes. Looking at the screen, every gun seized as part of this initiative was test fired. And although we're still waiting on the NIBIN results to come back from last week's surge, we know that 10 guns from the 2 August surges left behind shell casings at 23 other crime scenes. Those 10 guns are on the screen. Now, by knowing where these guns have been, law enforcement can now use this information to potentially link guns to the people who are responsible for those 23 other crimes. Just a few examples. Gun history example 1. This gun, a .30 caliber Glock, was seized in August after teams stopped 2 individuals for illegally carrying weapons. That was 1 adult and 1 16-year-old boy. Now, the adult had this gun. NIBIN found that it had been used in 2 other crimes in the weeks prior, a shooting and an attempted homicide, both that occurred in August. And every one of these crimes I'm referencing were either committed, back in the history I'm talking about, were either committed in Cleveland itself or in a close-in jurisdiction. So it's either in Cleveland or close. Again, with that particular gun, prior to that, this gun was involved in a June 2023 murder. Case history, example number 2. Here's the gun the 16-year-old boy was carrying. This is a 9mm Glock. Nyman connected it to a shooting that took place just a few days before the surge. Let me go to gun history example 3. Teams also arrested an individual with this Springfield 9mm in August. A run through Nyman identified this gun as one that fired bullets into a car in February. A few months before that, last November, Nyman tells us this gun was involved in a crime spree. Someone holding this weapon shot someone, shot up a house, used it in a robbery, and used it during an assault. Prior to that, someone used this gun to shoot up another house, and that was back in December of 2021. One more. A Glock 9mm. In August, surge teams stopped an individual for a drug violation, and that person was carrying this gun. Nyman found that it was used in a murder back in May of this year. So we are committed to continuing to work with the Cleveland Police Department. We're going to continue that close collaboration. We're very happy with the results. We think it's been very, very productive. We appreciate the partnership. And now let me turn to Mayor Bibb. Just on a personal note, the mayor and I spent 3 hours the other night watching the Bengals and the Browns. Let me just say that the mayor represented his city exceedingly well that night.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Governor. I was a little worried that Governor DeWine may have canceled today's press conference because of that Browns victory over the Bengals last Sunday. But I want to just again thank Governor DeWine and Colonel Jones for their partnership and leadership on this critical law enforcement effort to really support reducing violent crime in our city. When I called Governor DeWine immediately after our mass shooting in July, he gave us his unwavering commitment and support to help us reduce violent crime in our city. And I believe there are 3 key ingredients to successful law enforcement partnerships. Number 1, a clear sense of urgency. Number 2, data-driven approaches to reduce violent crime. And thirdly, trust. Trust, trust, trust. And I think the results speak for themselves that this collaboration has been very effective. I'd also want to say that in talking to the men and women of our police department, they have been thrilled that they've been able to do really good police work to keep our city safe. And they're looking forward to the continued enhanced partnership we're going to have with the state and other federal law enforcement officials in the months and years to come. I also want to convey to our residents that they've been thrilled by the extra police presence across our streets. I was talking to a senior citizen at the Fresh Fest in the Southeast Side on Saturday afternoon, and she was just so amazed and so thrilled to see State Highway Patrol working with Cleveland Division of Police to keep the city safe, doing traffic enforcement, knocking on doors, and getting criminals off our streets. And while today we are praising the success of this partnership, we also need to recognize we have a lot more work to do to keep our city safe and secure on a short and long-term basis. There are families today without mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters, and cousins because of the reckless violence that has plagued our city for far too long. And we must always work tirelessly as a city and as a community to do whatever we can to keep our city safe. That's why our administration has been so focused on our RISE initiative, recognizing that we can't police our way out of this problem. It's going to take a multi-pronged approach to reduce violent crime in Cleveland. On that note, we've been working tirelessly with City Council and the Cleveland Foundation to stand up our $10 million Neighborhood Safety Fund. It's our goal to try to distribute up to $1 million of funding by the end of this year to invest in the interventions and solutions that we know can reduce violent crime in our city. We're also working with the Cleveland Food Bank, because if you don't have a hot meal at home or no food in the refrigerator, you're more likely to commit violent crime, to put food on the table. So we as a city must always invest in a multi-pronged approach to reduce violent crime in our city. So with that being said, again, I want to just thank the governor and Colonel Jones for their commitment to this initiative, and I'm going to kick it off to Deputy Chief Ali Pillow for more details on this partnership. Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to touch a little bit on the same thing that the governor talked about, that this is a collaboration with multiple agencies. Today we're here focusing on what was going on with OSP, but I'd be remiss if I did not talk about our partnership with the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office, the U.S. Attorney's Office, who were very instrumental in the prosecution of those individuals arrested during our ATF operation that happened this summer. Our partners from OIU, who have been riding with us since before January on a regular basis, assisting us with some of our own initiatives and violent crime details. The U.S. Marshals are not here. Marshal Elliott gave me some stats and asked me to present them. Since we started this operation in August, from August 14th through yesterday, the U.S. Marshals with Operation 216 have 45 local arrests, 41 federal arrests coming from the ATF roundup, and also 10 firearms recovered. Those 45 local arrests are stemmed from investigations by Cleveland Police, district bureaus, and specialized units. Those arrests break down as 13 homicides, 1 for robbery, 6 felonious assaults, 3 rape, and 22 other various violent crimes such as assault and/or domestic violence. So again, I want to commend the men and women at the district level and as well as our specialized units for the work that they've been putting into this initiative and throughout the year. We've received a lot of questions about how do we sustain this collaboration. I'd like to point out that this is not a new collaboration. All of the partners engaged and involved in this detail, all of them have a presence and an entity working together in our strike force building. I want to point out that we've always had officers assigned to the U.S. Marshals Task Force. I believe right now we have 4 and a supervisor. At the district and our narcotics level, we have task force officers, some certified by the FBI, others through ATF. And that is big for us because before it was just centralized with narcotics, but now we have them sprinkled throughout the districts with those resources, that intelligence and those technology is being instituted in the districts that has been proven invaluable. And of course our homicide review, where we currently have 16 homicide detectives, and those are supplemented by 2 FBI agents, an ATF agent, and as recent as early this year, a BCI agent. So we talk about sustaining this. It is here. We've always had surges, operations, and/or initiatives every year. This year was highlighted by a surge in violence, some of it high profile, but this has been our response. As the mayor touched on earlier, whatever challenges we have in a division, the citizens of Cleveland expect and deserve to be safe. And that is our sole mission in the Cleveland Division of Police. So having said that, I want to turn over to one of our other partners, my mentor and predecessor, Sheriff Harry Patel.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Governor and Mayor, also for helping us and supporting this effort. I know that violent crime has been on the uprise everywhere, and certainly it's hit us pretty hard here. The families have suffered, citizens have suffered, and it's important for us to send a message that we're not tolerating that. These partnerships, as the Chief Pillow mentioned, these partnerships have long-standing. Now we've crystallized them. We're focused in a certain area. Why? Because we know that's where the issues are happening. I can tell you on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, we have a downtown service safety patrol, and their efforts are notwithstanding contributing to these numbers. I can tell you as of last Saturday night, I was out with them. 4:06 in the morning, we actually seized a weapon from someone who was not supposed to have that weapon, and the weapon had a obliterated serial number. As we know, that's not good. So just to give you an example of the work that they're doing out there, the collar operations, the partnerships, and these criminals and their activities don't stop at the borders. They operate all throughout Cuyahoga County and beyond. But important to know that within our county, we have a lot of connections, not only to the city of Cleveland, but to our suburbs. Our suburban partners deserve the same amount of attention and reduction in crime. They don't stop, they will continue, and we know that when we have these efforts, they take notice. And they also take notice because many of these individuals are now incapacitated. Why? Because they've been arrested. They're removed from the equation. There's a number of trigger pullers out there, and that's who we focus on. The prosecutors' crime strategies unit does a phenomenal job of putting stuff together so we can focus on those areas. The Cleveland Police Crime Analysis Unit does a great job of putting together our maps in the different areas of the city. We can focus our efforts. The Cleveland Police Real-Time Crime Center, instrumental in supporting the delivery of these operations and surges so they can be more focused in those areas, and we all see the same picture at the same time. That's collaboration. So it's not the first time we do this. It is a way of life for us, partnership, because together we're stronger. The message is we are here to reduce violent crime in Northeast Ohio and beyond. Governor, Chief, thank you very much for your support. Colonel Jones.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you, Governor DeWine, Mayor Bibb, Deputy Chief Pillow, and Sheriff Patel. I am honored to be here to discuss this ongoing collaboration to reduce violent crime in the city of Cleveland. I am also reminded of the historical value of this great city. As you may or may not know, on August 5th, 1914, the first electric traffic light was installed here in Cleveland at the corner of Euclid Avenue and East 105th Street. The purpose of that light was to improve safety for motorists and the citizens of Cleveland. It would be another 19 years before the Ohio State Highway Patrol was founded in 1933 with the same goal as a traffic light to keep Ohio's motorists and communities safe. Here we are 90 years later, and that same mission has not changed. I am grateful for the determination and the collaboration of all of these agencies and our ability to combine resources with the main goal of reducing violent crime in the city of Cleveland. As we have shared before, there are three ways to measure success: effort, results, and impact. The effort is clear through the collaborative partnerships you see here today. Chief Drummond and the Cleveland Division of Police, through collaboration with the Ohio State Highway Patrol, our Ohio Investigative Unit, and all of our federal, state, and local partners. We continue to work diligently to achieve the goal of reducing violent crime and making this community a safer place to live, work, and raise a family. That collaboration is something we all take seriously, and that is clear through the impact that has been made so far in these surges. Since the start of the violent crime reduction effort on August 15th, the results have pointed to the success of this collaborative endeavor. With 138 felony arrests, 63 guns seized, and 37 stolen vehicles recovered, there is no doubt this collaboration is making a difference. My closing message is this: the Ohio State Highway Patrol has been here supporting the Cleveland Division of Police and the citizens of Cleveland, and we will continue to be here to be partners to help reduce this violent crime. So as long as the mayor and the chief want us here, we're here to help. We're here to collaborate. We're here to help you along the way. Thank you again, Mayor. Thank you again, Chief, Sheriff. We're here for you. We're just a phone call away, and I'll leave you with this. The one thing that we know is when we all work together, it turns out better. Thank you.
Colonel. Happy to take any questions.
So you talked about the 16-year-old that you got the gun from, as well as you discussed kind of that there's going to have to be multiple outlets to kind of reduce violent crime here in Cleveland. Can you talk to me about what you guys are going to, or if there is a plan for kids and kind of keeping them off the streets, keeping them safe?
Well, one of the things we prioritized at the start of the summer was making sure we had a safe, well-programmed rec centers across the city. All 22 of our rec centers, for the first time in our city's history, we had 2 trauma-informed social workers at every rec center. That's going to happen year-round beyond just the summertime. And then just several weeks ago, we announced the creation of a youth mental health task force to really address the workforce shortage we have in our city when it comes to having good quality trained folks working in our mental health workforce ecosystem. And so we're going to continue to invest in Cleveland's children. I know the governor has a strong commitment and passion for Ohio's children, and we look forward to working with the governor on those continued investments and partnerships.
And then things like the Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, and things like that, is that, you know, organizations you guys work with to really help?
Absolutely. Yep.
Who else?
Would you be able to explain what is happening in these surges? I mean, are you doing a lot of traffic stops and you're finding people with warrants, or is it you're responding to gunshots? Like, can you just give us a picture?
Any of you can jump up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just, I'll start it off. One of the things that we can bring to this is a helicopter. And having a helicopter in the air, frankly, just makes it safer for everybody. It makes it safer for the public. It makes it safer for law enforcement. I had the chance in one of the early surges in August to go up in the helicopter for over an hour and just see that very, very close cooperation that's going on between those in the helicopter and the men and women of the police department that are on the street. So that's one thing that is certainly is value added. But I'll let anybody else jump in here.
Deputy Chief.
Yes, traffic is an important component of it. Traffic itself, the identification and targeting of crime-driving individuals, and also some of our partners targeting and recognizing and interdicting individuals who have already been arrested, are in the system, and committing those crimes. So it's multi-layered. There are also, such as the ATF operation, there are also other covert operations going on in which crime is prevalent. And I can't speak a lot with those, but we do have those operations. That was one I couldn't wait to be over with so that I could talk about it. And we've got some others, the same thing, that I can't wait until we can talk about the fruit that's been born from those.
Anybody else?
Colonel Jones, you want to add?
Yeah, so as the governor shared, our aviation is a asset that we bring, a resource that we know makes the whole situation safer. All right, the officers, the Cleveland officers, the troopers, all of our partners that are out there working, to have that aviation asset in the sky makes things a lot safer for everyone. Those traffic stops that the deputy chief talked about, that's just one component of the operation. That's one way that we can make sure that we get the opportunity to make contact with folks, all right, to make sure that they are not maybe on their way to commit a crime somewhere else, and to help get them off the streets and recover, the guns and things of that nature that you're seeing, the drugs, et cetera. So it's a team effort. All of us working together for the good of the people. That's what it's all about.
So let me just add the two units that people don't usually think about that we're able to really surge in, and they're here some, but this enables us to really surge them in. One is a special investigative unit that focuses on our bars, and the surveillance. I just talked to two of the members of that unit. They told me some of the stories, some of the things that they've done, but surveilling those bars, people come in who have guns, people come in who aren't legally allowed to come have guns anymore. So that's a unit that does very, very valuable work. The other unit that we can bring in, and we have brought in during these surges, is our parole officers. Any community has people who are on parole. And again, checking on them and seeing, are they violating parole or are they not? One person, for example, at least one, was not supposed to be associating with minors, found to be doing that. We had other people who are on parole. They're not supposed to have a gun. again, violent offenders, they're not supposed to have a gun, and they're found in possession of a gun. So these 2 units that come in are 2 units that we don't, I think people just normally don't think about, but when you surge in, you surge in all the assets that you have in to try to make a difference.
Just to cover just one more point on that. We talked about different resources coming in. I think it's important to note that when we think of the task force model, we bring additional resources. So everyone has something to contribute. When we have that, whether it's a K-9 unit or an intelligence resource or aviation resource, obviously we're bringing another layer of complexity to it, but we're also increasing the capability. So if we have the right ground forces on the ground, we have the right people in the right place, we can really make good stuff happen. So I'll kind of leave it with that, but I do want to mention that we're on the same team playing different bases, but when you bring these different resources, it just gets better. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Hey.
So we have arrests and you pulled some a lot of guns off the street. How are you feeling about keeping those people off the streets? How are you feeling about connecting those guns with the actual person who committed the crime so that they are charged with those crimes? And then I guess kind of a follow-up, Mary Bid, probably for you, is then how do you, the perception of these crimes, how do you let the people know, specifically say downtown visitors,
Yep.
downtown businesses know that this has happened and that these people aren't a problem anymore?
Well, first I want to say we want to keep all of Cleveland safe, not just downtown, and that's my priority as mayor. And I think today's announcement, coupled with last week's announcement with the ATF and U.S. Attorney, shows you the future of policing, data-driven policing, using good intelligence on crime guns to really apprehend these suspects. In one case that we announced last week, there was 1 gun tied to 14 shootings. We wouldn't be able to get that data, that intelligence, without NIBIN and the support of the ATF and U.S. Attorney. That's why we're working very closely with Steve Dettelbeck at the ATF to make sure we can have a dedicated, effective gun intelligence center right here in Cleveland like you have in Cincinnati and Columbus. And having those intelligence units augment our work with the state patrols and right here inside the Cleveland Division of Police will go a long way to make sure we apprehend these suspects and get the crime guns off our streets.
Now let me just add to that just a couple things. One, you know, one of our major partners is the County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and the assistants. I started my career as a assistant county prosecutor in a county a lot smaller than Cuyahoga County, but I know very well the importance of the investigation of those cases, putting those cases on and getting people convicted. So that's an essential part of that, and they are a significant partner as well. The NIBIN technology is frankly just amazing, and one of the things that we've really focused on since I became governor is to make sure that we are able to spread that throughout the state of Ohio. We found that we had some jurisdictions, smaller jurisdictions, many times mid-sized cities, who simply did not have the resources to enter that into the NIBIN system, or maybe did not have the technology there. So a lot of the money that we have spent from the state, and I thank the legislature for this, has been gone towards to tying everybody in. If you have a gun or if you have a shell casing, it doesn't do a whole lot of good unless it gets into the system. And so this is something that, again, that we forget a lot. It's not glitzy, it's not high profile, but it makes all the difference in the world. And the examples that we gave, we have good investigators. We have people who can put things together, but they have to be able to get the linkage. And so what NIBIN does, and the use of NIBIN, is it sets up that linkage. And so out of those examples that we talked about, there will be future, I will guarantee you, there will be future arrests. I don't know if that will be in a week, a month, a year, but having that data there and making those linkages helps law enforcement when they do investigations.
When did the city start using that? Was that just this summer, or?
You've used it for a long time.
Yeah, a long time, Deputy Chief, for a long time, yeah.
No, we've been using NIBIN for years. Recently, through some peer exchange in the city of Phoenix last year, we observed a model that Phoenix had. We came back with it. We brought it back. We put it on a pilot. and just as it pertained to homicides, and we started triaging homicide scenes immediately with picking up those shell casings, get them to the NIBIN people or our CJIT crime people, and we started getting results immediately, much faster. So since doing that, we're working on expanding that right now.
So from some of the shot spotters from that tech, clean up shell casings from that?
Yeah, part of it.
Part of it, but also outside of the shot spotter areas, before we expanded shot spotter to the 5 districts.
And one thing I want to note, we all recognize that staffing is a major challenge for our division of police. I know it's been a challenge for the State Highway Patrol as well, but despite the fact that we're down in our homicide detective unit, we have nearly an 80% solve rate in our homicide unit, nearly 80%. That's a big deal. That couldn't have been done without good intelligence and good technology like the NIBIN tool.
All right, anybody else?
For the mayor, I just have a quick question. According to cell phone tracking data, Cleveland is only second to San Francisco for people working coming into the city.
Yeah.
To the downtown. How's the economic development?
Well, that study you're referring to is a flawed study because it does not include many parts of the core of downtown. I'm sure Michael Deemer and the team at DCA will easily refute that data. We're at nearly over 60% folks back to the office, over 80% foot traffic. I'm more optimistic and hopeful about the future of our downtown, and I want to encourage folks to live, work, and play and spend all your money downtown in the future as well, too. So. Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Question for the mayor, unrelated to this. Mayor, question about Cleveland Public Power. Mayor, can you give me a second?
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Governor.